how God's restoring lives and how God is helping us all to be restored. And I believe, I don't know if you are believing like I'm believing, but I'm believing that this is a year of restoration. This is a year where our lives get back together. Amen? Come on, somebody. This is a year where we begin to declare that my life is going to be restored from what it's been to the thing that God has into your life and snatch your dream from you. You're no good for nothing. You're unable. You're too fat to do that. You're too skinny. You're too ugly. You're unable to do that. You're not smart enough. You're not this. You're not that. And somebody's always trying to snatch that which God has given you, the potential and the ability to live in the things of God, have taken that away from you. So David in his life has already been prophesied. The prophet Samuel in our text earlier comes to Jesse and begins to say, hey, bring out your sons because God wants to do a work in one of your sons. He brings out all his sons. Jesse brings out the prime stock of his sons, and they all go, and Samuel says, that's not the one, that's not the one, that's not the one. He goes right down the list, and he can't find any of his sons that are the one. And he asks, do you have any more sons? Because what's here is not what I'm looking for. Tell your neighbor, say, what's here is not what I'm looking for. And God, Samuel says, Jesse says, well, we have one. I have one ruddy, boogie-nosed kid. He's out in the field all dusty and dirty. He's ruddy. He's no good for nothing. He's out in the field. He didn't say he's no good for nothing, but kind of leaving him out in the field while everybody else is at the party. That tells me a little bit something about that son. And isn't it awesome how God uses ruddy, left-out people to do miraculous things? The ones that have been counted out, the ones who have not been chosen, the ones who think they can't do it, is the ones that God will always use to do something great, always use them to do something marvelous. And when Jesse calls for his son, David comes down and Samuel prophesies, says, this is the one. You will be king. So prophecy went out first, then David's dreams and destinies are laying before him, but he doesn't become king that day, that night, that moment, that second, that year. It doesn't happen to him. A lot of things happen or begin to transpire during this time. There's a war in Israel, and you know the story of David and Goliath, don't you? Jesse tells her, here, have some bread, go down, take this to your brothers. David goes down to bring his brothers something to eat. He finds all of Israel hiding behind rocks and scared and behind trees. And he hears this one Philistine screaming and yelling, calling God all kind of names. He says, who is this uncircumcised Philistine making fun of my God? He says, who is this? Who is this? David grabs his rag and he grabs a couple of rocks, wings that thing around, knocks that Philistine down, and cuts off his head. Takes it out. Don't ever despise someone because of their youth. Don't ever despise someone because of what you think there's some power inside of them. God has given them ability to take out giants in their life. God's given you ability as he's restoring you, as he's preparing you to take out giants in your life. Some of us don't like where we're at, but God brings us through a process to prepare us to receive the destiny that lays before us. See, you see everything. You know, the weird thing is that you can see it, but that doesn't mean you're prepared for what God has before you. And God does a work, and he puts you through a process, and he fashions you so that when you get to the place that you're able to walk in the character and the integrity of your life as he's restoring you, because you don't want to get to the place and still be the same thing that you were. Amen? Because that could be the downfall of your life. If you haven't dealt with that thing, come on. If you haven't dealt with that thing, as soon as you get to the place, that thing will get you and bring you down.